el plan, Fernando?
Plan. Hay que esperar unos meses para saberlo.
¿Meses?
Sí.
¿Meses?
Hay que creer en el plan, por ahora.
Everyone is talking about the plan of Fernando Alonso, but no one really knows, well at all, what the Spanish veteran is planning for 2022. People don't even know why this so-called plan has gone viral. Now there are t-shirts and caps with the quote, the Spanish driver himself mentions it in interviews, and God knows his fans certainly mention it in social media. Since his podium in Qatar, Formula One's post-comment sections are now full of Spanish fans quoting El Plan, Trust El Plan, and El Plan has commenced. Anyway, Fernando Alonso has returned to Formula One this year, and he has a plan. Or rather, he has the plan, and he trusts it fully. He said in an interview after the Turkish Grand Prix, "You have to believe in El Plan," where he qualified in 5th. On the DAZN Formula One set, where they were analysing the qualification afterwards, they wondered what the plan was. You probably now also wonder what Fernando Alonso's plan is, and we're going to try and explain it, although to be honest, only Fernando himself knows the details, because after all, it is his plan. Step 1. Getting rid of the rust in 2022. Alonso signed his return to Formula One with Alpine in mid-2020, almost 2 years after leaving the top tier of motorsport due to the lack of competitiveness of his team McLaren and facing the impossibility of fighting with the big boys, Ferrari, Red Bull and Mercedes. Back then, scoring a few points at 8th or 9th felt like a big victory for him and his team, so he was clearly disappointed and wanted to move on. After trying other categories of motorsport and expanding his trophy cabinet in events like the 24 Hours of Le Mans, Daytona, and testing himself in the Paris-Dakar race, the Asturian decided to return to the place where he's felt best as a driver and where he still wanted options to win again. This is what he confessed in the documentary Fernando. The team chosen was Alpine, where he had previously been at Renault. And the first idea was to return in 2021, during which the new regulation aiming to equalise the cars was slowly being released. However, these rules were delayed into 2022 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Seeing the performance Renault Formula One achieved in 2020, and without any change in regulation, it was clear Alonso would not be winning this year. But Fernando did see a return in 2021 would help get rid of some of the rust after 2 years away from Formula One, while also getting used to the Alpine team and his new teammate Esteban Ocon. It got off to a shaky start, exemplified by the fact he could not get out of Q1 in Monaco. However, after a few races, Alonso was already back at the level of his partner Ocon, and now mostly stays ahead. As Alpine have said themselves, 2022 will likely be flipping a coin. The 10 teams on the grid today dream of fighting for victories and podiums next year. We know that some do not have the resources to make the best car, but the goal of Formula One is that not only the top 2 teams realistically can fight for podiums, but that the other 8 teams have chances as well. Step 2. Alonso's unsurpassed ambition. If Alonso has returned, it's because he thinks he can win races, either next season or in the medium-term future. He even said so in the latest Beyond the Grid podcast with Formula One, that he could stay 3 or 4 more seasons if he has a good car. And you just have to see his performances. The defensive masterclass in Hungary against Hamilton is now ingrained in Formula One's mind. His skills in wet conditions were highlighted in Sochi, where he was P3 until the rain got even worse. P5 in Istanbul was his highest starting position since more than 5 years, and his podium in Qatar has crowned this year's achievements in Formula One for the returning Spanish driver. Alonso is clearly contributing a lot to the development of the Alpine team going into 2022. He sits at the core of the team, trying to apply internal pressure and motivate all those around him within the team that he was already crowned champion twice in 2005 and 2006, and with whom he has shared his greatest successes. There is no doubt that his superb relationship with Esteban Ocon will only help the team go forward in the same direction, as opposed to what was the case at McLaren with the venerable Stoffel van Dorn. Fernando gives his everything, and therefore asks the same from the team around him. He knows that this is his last chance to win F1 races again. The next time he retires, he will retire for good. It's his last time to get back on the podium like he did in Qatar, his last time to get on pole position, and, if all things go well, his last chance to fight for a world title. Fernando Alonso's plan, therefore, is to work to return to the level of the top drivers in Formula One. It is to be competitive into 2022 and beyond. What started as a joke by his fans to trust the plan became a massive trend in Formula One, and perhaps the 2 words you might have heard the most associated with Fernando Alonso. Only the stopwatch will have the last word this season and next. Everything is part of the plan.